Every creative team I've ever worked with knows how to move fast. They sprint all the time. But in creative ops and creative process, the only way to truly know if you're making progress is to know precisely where you are, precisely where the finish line is, and to know exactly how to get from here to there. Today I'm going to show you a 5-step framework to map that out and get going fast. This is about getting your creative team from where you are right now to where you actually want to be without burning everyone out, without drowning in the chaos. And by the end of this video, you're going to know how to map out every single step. Hey everyone, my name's Aaron. I make videos on creative operations, creative process, and managing creative teams. And today we're going to talk about the Toyota Kata. Now I know that's going to feel a little weird on a creative focused channel, but stick with me here. We're not actually talking about manufacturing cars. We are talking about Mike Rother's views into the way that Toyota management improved the process in minute, small ways that compounded over time to have really big impacts. And the way we're going to talk about that today is going to be focused through the lens of how creative teams function. We're going to dive right in. All right, step one. This is the thing everybody wants to skip over. Everybody wants to get right to the doing, right to the jumping in and figuring it out. But the problem is, you can't really know where you're trying to get to unless you know exactly where you are. So we're going to start first with identifying the current condition. You need to get together every member of your team, sit them down, and we need to document the process as it is right now. Now this is going to be messy. The likelihood is every single person has their own process. The likelihood is every single person, even if they are doing the same thing, will articulate their process very slightly differently. Now we don't want people to think that they don't have agency. We aren't trying to micromanage the very specific intricacies of how somebody uses their inspiration to get their work out on a page. That is not the point here. The point here is to understand exactly step by step what we need to do to get the output we're working on out. This could be a very small thing, this could be a very big thing. It depends on the kind of process you're working on. I would recommend first time out on something like this to pick a very, very small thing. Maybe it's the way that you staff and the way you pick people on your team that are joining specific projects. Maybe it's the way that you put together client communication decks each week. Maybe it's the process that we go through to select a color palette for a particular project. Pick a very small process to start. Start building the habit. Start understanding the way that this is going to work for your team, because every team dynamic is going to be a little bit different on this. The point is, we want to pick a small process, something that has 5, maybe 10 steps, and we're going to put that on paper. We're going to get everybody in the room together. We're going to pull out sticky notes. This can be on Miro, this can be on any other sort of infinite whiteboard software, but I really prefer to do this on a real whiteboard and a real page. Hand everybody a different color sticky note pad and have them write out each step on their process. Walk up to the whiteboard and have every person lay out their process, step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever it is. Here's the thing, this is going to be messy. Every person has their own way of doing things. Every project has its own little quirks. That's fine. We're not looking for perfection. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking for honesty. We're looking for specifics. We want to understand the real way that everything actually is getting done right now. And moreover, we're looking to uncover the differences in the ways that each person looks at each process, because we're going to be looking to find the best version of each of them and hope that everybody learns from the specific innovations that sometimes are a little quiet and nobody's saying out loud. Once everything gets up on the whiteboard, we now have everybody's individual flowchart on how this process actually works. You know, we can sit here all day long and start saying, like, we think we have a 3-step process to get this approval done, or a 5-step process to onboard a team member into a new project. But when you get down to it, you know, person A has 16 steps, person B has 2 steps, but those are really big, and you can tell they could break it down into a whole lot more detail. So we're looking for 2 things here. We're looking for detail. So if there's a step that somebody put on a sticky note that looks like it's actually 10 steps, we want to break that down. We want to get a level of detail so that every sticky note represents a real, discrete, action that is taken along that path. Then your job is to facilitate a conversation of what is the real way that it's done. We want to get everybody to a parity level of detail. Now, importantly, crucially, we are not talking about what it should be at this point. We want to agree on what the actual current condition is, the current state of things. We want to agree as a team how things are functioning right now. The reason we're doing this on a board is so that everybody on the team can see everybody else's process. The important point here is that we want visibility. Visibility equals accountability, and you can't improve what you can't measure. You can't measure what you can't see. Now, we're going to start talking about goals. Same sticky notes, everybody has their own color, different part of the whiteboard. We want everybody to write down the 3 to 5 goals that they think this process needs to accomplish. We're ignoring everything about the way it currently works. We're ignoring all of the potential problems with any of the pie in the sky, best case scenario thinking. All we want to do is understand what are the things that this team thinks the process has to do, what it has to achieve in order to be successful. We're just looking for goals. This could be features of the process. This could be outcomes of the process. It could be ways in which we engage communication platforms, anything and everything that can contribute to the shape of that best possible outcome. Get them all on the board and then discuss. Don't edit right now. We're not looking to filter anything out. We want to get, in fact, as many ideas onto the board as possible. This is actually really important for the next step. We want to get the fullest accounting of everybody's thinking and ideas onto that board. Now your job is to facilitate a conversation with the team looking for overlaps. No matter the team size, no matter how many ideas each person came up with, the reality is all of these people already work in the same system every day. There are going to be some commonalities about the things that they want to see this process do, have, achieve, etc. So while they may be worded slightly differently, there are going to be overlaps. There are going to be groupings of ideas and post-it notes. The reason that we want to do this on a whiteboard, the reason that we want these to be sticky notes is so that you can move them around. Have everybody look at it and start trying to group things into categories. Look for overlaps. Look for places that multiple people identified the same kind of thing. Start moving these around on the board because you will end up grouping different things in different places. And you will see that ultimately, while we may have put 20, 50 things down on this board, we're kind of really all developing an orbit, a gravity around 2, 3, or 4 ideas. Those are the things that we're really looking for here. That's the magic under all of this. That's the golden piece that we're looking to uncover here. Because while everybody may describe those things slightly differently, the reality is those are the things that the team is actually looking for. And if we can solve for those things, for those overlaps, that's not going to get us to 100% perfect efficiency, but it is going to solve the most problems for the most people immediately. All right, step 3. This is where we're going to take the goals that we all just decided we were centering around and reconcile them with the flowcharts we built earlier, defining the current condition. So we're going to find a new space to work in. Ideally, it's on a whiteboard space, but could certainly be that Miro or another infinite whiteboard space. The point is we want to be able to see everything we're looking at all at once. We're going to pick a new sticky note color, and we're going to start defining our target condition. What I like to do is to lay out the current condition along the top, left to right, step by step, and then start building the target condition below that. Now, depending on the goals you've set for yourself, depending on the features of this new system you're looking to achieve, it may not be one-to-one. One step on the current condition equals one step on the target condition. You may expand, you may contract, you may recombine, you may shuffle, but the point is you want to be looking at the step-by-step process you identified in the current condition and use that in combination with the goals to build step-by-step, left to right, step 1, 2, 3, and beyond into the target condition. This is going to take a lot of time. This is going to take a lot of conversation. And the point is, this needs to be a group discussion, and we want to aim for consensus here. Your job as a facilitator is to make sure we're staying on track, that we're making progress. Your job is to head off conflict, make sure that there is healthy debate. Now, importantly, inevitably, people are going to start bringing up reasons why a step or a part of the process or a platform or a goal isn't realistic. This is not the time to deal with that. We're not reconciling with the reality yet. We're just trying to identify the best possible version of this process based on the current condition and the goals that we set. You're creative people. Let yourselves really think about all the different ways that this could manifest or work. Get it all out there in the discussion, and then we'll figure out how to get over any of those humps later. Like I keep saying, you have to know the direction you're heading in before you can plot out the route, which includes how you get over all the little obstacles that are between your current state and your destination. And figuring out all of those little roadblocks is step 4. Reality check time. What's standing in the way of getting from your current condition to your target condition? Maybe it's buy-in from leadership, maybe it's budget, maybe it's number of people on staff, maybe it's office politics or legacy systems that have been in place since the long ago and nobody wants to touch it. Get it all down, write it all down. But here's the mindset shift that you have to have as a team. These are not roadblocks, these are hurdles. What's the difference? Roadblocks stop you. Hurdles are things for you to clear. That distinction matters because it changes how your team looks at and talks about and frames these obstacles. It's no longer, we can't do that because we don't have the budget for it. And it becomes, that's going to be difficult because we don't have the budget for it. So how are we going to set up the system around finding cheaper solutions, or how are we going to sell this as a business case to our leadership to get the financial support that we need for this? How are we going to approach the budgeting phase with our producers or project leads to make sure that this is a thing that is accounted for early in the process so that we have the resources when we need them? That's the key. Yeah, we're talking about building a system in order to build a system so that we can build a system, but that's how we change the culture around us. It's not just about our small team, it's about how our team interfaces with every other part of the business. And that brings us to step 5. This is where it all comes together. You know your current condition, you understand the goals that the target condition has to have, you've defined your target condition, and you know all the blockers you have to overcome. And the best part is, each item on that board now in the target condition represents a goal unto itself. We're currently at the current condition, we know we need to get to that target condition, and there's a big gap in between. So what are we going to do? We're going to set our SMART goals. For each sticky note, we're going to establish a goal to get from here to there, from the current condition to the target condition, that is specific, measurable, actionable, relevant, and time-based. Put a firm deadline on it. You can decide as a group, it can be 2 days, it can be 2 weeks, it can be 2 months. It depends on how big the goal is, how much time you as a team actually have to make progress on it, or how important it is, how much everything else relies on that. I would recommend starting with some of the really important pieces first, the kind of things that have to be in place before all the other things can be in place. For instance, addressing some of the blockers in terms of buy-in or getting the resources allocated you need to make progress, or looking for some of the areas of biggest impact. If we can solve some of these specific things, does it make everything else easier for us to get to? That's where you should really start. Now, up to this point, we've talked a whole lot about the specificity and getting a whole lot of groupthink together and brainstorming and making sure that we're accounting for a lot of different ideas and perspectives. So why am I saying just slap an arbitrary deadline onto this one piece? Well, here's the reality. The most important thing at this point is to just get started. Make whatever progress you can to hit that arbitrary deadline, stop, and reevaluate. You are going to learn so much just getting from step 0 to step 1 on that first iteration that when you stop to reevaluate, things are going to change. You will have learned a whole lot of new things about the current condition that you didn't expect or know or understand in your first conversations. You're going to learn a whole lot more about the blockers. Maybe one of the things that you thought was going to be trouble was really easy, but this whole new blocker came up. Or you learn some new things about your proposed target condition that maybe make a little less or a little more business sense than you thought it did originally. And you're going to have to change the exact shape of that target condition. The point here is that you're not going to nail the exact perfect best version of that target condition your first time out. That's not failure, that's the system working. Remember, the goal of this framework is not the finish line itself, it's to start to build a culture of constant improvement. It's to build a culture of process. So the thinking about how we get there gets out of the way of the actual creative work that we all want to be doing. It's to establish the guardrails on the road that gets us from here to there. Small wins stacked up over time with everybody on the team constantly asking, how do we get a little bit better at this every time we go through it? So let's recap. Step 1, map the current condition, honestly, precisely, even if it's messy. Step 2, gather your team, get a whole lot of ideas on the page about what the goals should be, and look for those hidden priorities buried in the overlaps. Step 3, design your current condition, ignoring the realities, roadblocks, and hurdles that may exist. Name your blockers, but treat them as hurdles, not walls. Things to go over, not things that will stop you in your tracks. And step 5, figure out how we narrow the gap from current condition to target condition in small, iterative steps with actionable deadlines, setting SMART goals. Yes, the work is unpredictable, but the systems we design for ourselves within which we work across those different projects and clients and teams doesn't have to be. All right, thank you so much for your time. You know the drill. If this was helpful, like and subscribe. Let's continue the conversation down below. Drop me a comment and let me know what the biggest creative blocker your team is going through right now. I'll catch you on the next one.